record on this computer? All right.
Yep.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Welcome back to another episode of Spiritual Gangsta Certified. I am your host, Illy Vish, or Janae. I don't care what you call me, as long as you do not call me late for astrology. Not dinner. Dinner too. Taurus shit. Taurus shit, right? I am here today with the wonderful Renaissance Mystic. It is October 29th, just to give y'all some, idea of where we are in time. It's my baby girl's birthday, so it's a good day. The sun is at 6 degrees of Scorpio, and we got some things we want to talk about. Just a few things that need to be spoken on. When we're in Scorpio season, yes, Scorpio season highlight is being shown on what, my dear? The darkness, the undercurrents. And I don't say this to scare people.
There's nothing to be scared of.
Yeah, I don't know why Scorpio sons get so much hate. Yeah, I do. I know why they do.
I mean, I do, but I think maybe over the years, maybe there was one or two that I had like an issue with, but like
it's how they use that Scorpio energy.
3 of my best friends are Scorpios. 3 of my best friends are Scorpios and a longtime pen pal, a virtual online friend. 4 Scorpios in my life who are very, very close to me. So I don't know. I love them.
This sun, wherever it is, I always tell y'all, here's the spotlight being shown on certain things. We could look at Scorpio keywords too. And those are what the universe is shining a spotlight on for all of us collectively now.
Yes, it's true.
It's like the lens, the glasses that we all put on, how we're all seeing everything go on. And of course, it's impacting everybody differently individually because of your individual energy. But if we're speaking in generalities, look at me saying things wrong. If we're speaking in generalities, that's a theme, okay? So we definitely, everything's going to tie together, you guys will see. Mercury has retrograded back into Libra from Scorpio. More chatter with relationships, even though I would think internal chatter with oneself if you're using this energy appropriately. And Venus is home in Libra now.
Yeah.
Concentration on the values of our connections.
That's important.
A lot of stuff going on. With that being said, what we're really going to focus on today is having to deal. It's one thing to have to deal with your responses to Scorpio season and all the energies going on right now that you have to internalize and deal with on your own, right?
Yeah.
But how it's manifesting in the collective, what's happening. We're seeing some shit.
Yeah. Personally, collectively, there's a lot of things that are making itself present to us, and there are so many who would rob you of that because they don't like what they have to see. Somebody does not get to dictate what you learn about yourself and how you learn it just because they fear a certain aspect of themselves. So don't allow someone else's fear to deter you from knowing who the fuck you are in from the perspective of both polarities. Don't.
That's important. Fear is a big theme that we're going to focus on today, and truth. Those two things are connected in ways that make people uncomfortable.
Very.
Especially when, very simply and very obviously, we could say, people really are scared of the truth, no matter what that truth is. Sometimes digging into it feels like death. But we're getting an opportunity to kind of do this now. Mars is retrograde in Aries, so
Aries wants to do the thing.
Let's go.
My best friend who's an Aries, she put a a whole wedding together for her brother in like 3 days.
Let's
That's Aries.
go.
That's
Let's
Aries.
go.
You know what I mean?
So let's go where? To the darkness, to the truth, to the transformation.
I
First,
think
all of
in
that.
that order it works, because I think talking about the transformation lastly puts a really great spin on all of this. And I think as we bring up different aspects of shadows and different aspects of truth, we can then discuss those transformations. So I think darkness, what'd you say? Darkness, shadows,
Oh my God, I forgot that quick. Darkness, shadows,
transformation.
transformation.
Or
So,
darkness, truth, transformation.
darkness, truth, transformation. Okay.
That part.
So, number one, I gotta say, this has to be said. Listen, I know everybody is used to astrological buzzwords, okay? There's things that you hear people say are currently going on or are coming up or whatever the case may be. And it's like, oh my God, please understand. It is my goal to break people out of the habit of panicking because some astrological transit is coming. You're not supposed to push your energy into the panic. You should push your energy into, damn, how do I best use this energy? The whole reason we even tell you guys or talk to people about what's going on is so that you know how to use the energy present. You have choices. People act like they don't. We are not saying that the stars control something to some point that you're beyond any sort of personal responsibility. That is a fallacy. That is a farce. You have choice on how you're going to use the energies that are present.
You sure do.
Period. And if you know what's going on, then you can kind of zero in on what it is that you can get out of the energy. So when you hear Mercury retrograde, people, please don't fucking panic.
It's not that deep.
It is, in a way. You're gonna go deep if you use it well, but like
it's not that deep to fear it. It's not, honestly,
you just have to deal with it.
Yeah, during Mercury retrogrades for me, well, especially since most of them have been in water signs, for a while, I've noticed that my dreams will perhaps get very vivid around those times. And water is a great conduit for energy. Okay. Water is a great conduit for energy. So that means for me, I feel those little pings, those little inklings way stronger. My instincts are more like on point. Like intuitively, they're more on point. I have to say though, probably for other reasons, I've been feeling very connected, yet cannot really bring myself within myself. Like I've been so connected to things externally from me, but I think that there's a method to that, where that's not usually how I operate. But I think it's taking me the opposite way. What's going on outside of you, and what does it have to do with what's going on inside of you?
Okay.
Rather than first going, well, if this has something to do with me, how do I experience this internally, right?
Right.
It's the opposite. I may have said that.
You're going in. Yeah, well, I mean, that fits with the retrograde cycle because, I mean, first of all, I need people to understand that Mercury retrograde itself is not just when the cycle of Mercury retrograde is not just when Mercury itself appears to be moving backwards. It's like, I use this example of you go over a spot with a vacuum, you come back over it, and then you go back over it. So we started out in the area where all of this is going to happen anyway, when Mercury moved forward over it. Then it stopped, stationed retrograde, appeared to be moving backwards, so it's going over all this area. Well, when it goes direct again, it's going to have to recover that area. So this is getting hit like 3 times. You could look at it like that. What is the wisest thing to do with that energy? Well, if you're recognizing that some area of life is going to kind of be vacuumed over, backed over, and then vacuumed over again. All right, what do you choose your experience to be? How are you going to use this energy? Do you want to keep going over the same frustrating shit? And I mean, yeah, some things might be frustrating, but where are you directing your energy and your attention to be able to use this energy? The Scorpio is its intensity and its extremes. Where Libra energy, and it's weird because we have Venus in Libra now, and Mercury's retrograded back into Libra during Scorpio season. Libra can be very, I don't know.
I do it.
Non-confront. And Scorpio is like this or that, this or that, this or that. You can get with this or you can get with that.
And
There's
you know
no
I was watching
middle.
this video the other day, and this man pulled a card, and it said, "This and that are true," and I'm like,
that is true though.
Very appropriate for right now. This and that are true, but which one is your highest truth? You can have a lower truth. It's still a truth, but you have a higher truth. And I think that's really what we're getting to here. It's like, what is the higher truth that maybe you're not telling yourself? Because the lower truth, it's way more exciting. It's way more drama filled. It's way more trauma bonding. It's way more blaming.
Yeah.
Everybody loves to blame, right? They don't have to look over their blind spots. You know what I mean? I've been noticing that a lot of people, can you please? I have
that
been
is was that my Capricorn nephew?
That was Bia.
It was Bia. I'm sorry. That was my Taurus.
Lilith in Taurus, Scorpio moon. I mean, well, Lilith is in Taurus right now, but she has a Taurus sun and a Scorpio moon.
She's busy.
She's very busy.
She's busy. But what you were saying is absolutely resonant with me because, look, that's the secret to life. This is why we tell people what you focus on grows. And like, you only look, we're all dealing with the same amount of time within a day span. So what you decide to focus on, you can focus on a million other things, but it's the thing that you chose to focus on that you're choosing to interact with. So
that you're bringing life to.
Yes. So if the extremes of Scorpio, I think, can kind of help push you to pick a side. Now, the bad thing about that energy is, in this political climate that we're in, it's not so good there. This or that. That's where you can see it can negatively, because there's no understanding.
That's
where
we keep getting stuck, man. That's where we keep getting stuck. It's being forced to make a choice between two things that we're not really that fond of, but it's what we have. So we defend it. We defend it like it's our child or something. And it's just like, there's more to life than this, but you have to give it a chance. You have to do something different. You have to do something different.
We don't really have a choice. We're like, so it becomes a situation where, in the areas of your life where you do have a choice, where you do have some control, what are you this or thatting about? What are you being extreme with? Okay. Now, Libra energy also can bring up your recognition of your indecisiveness
and extremes.
Yeah, and the thing is, Libra can live at extremes too, because it doesn't want to make a choice and it winds up getting pushed to one side. All types of things happen. There's so many ways that we could describe this particular energy, but as it pertains to you being able to feel comfortable enough to even choose, decide, okay, what am I going to focus on? What if something's telling me something about myself? What is that? I think we get overwhelmed sometimes when there's so many things we know we need to deal with. Retrograde cycles, the reason you shouldn't be scared of them is because the universe is telling you to slow down and go over things. What's worth your attention? What area of the carpet is worthy of getting another run over it? Like, I guess that's how I could put it.
It's true. I know, for me personally, boundaries have been a thing. And not necessarily boundaries with I say this all the time. Boundaries are not just what you allow in.
That
it's
is true.
You stop your fucking self too.
Hello.
So you want to go be nosy and you want to meander into shit that has nothing to do with you. And then you don't like the repercussions of that. That's you. That's you trespassing on someone else's property and then getting mad when you have to pay the consequences for that.
Mm-hmm.
This is why I don't like the, no offense, but I don't like the reality TV culture. I don't like the love and hip hop culture where everybody is, they start shit for views. And then y'all take that information and you go and you run that back in your everyday life because you want to be like these people. They're acting too. So what are you doing?
Yeah.
What are you doing? What are you doing? You gotta stop. You gotta stop now. So how much do you give attention to that's drama and trauma? Because it's juicy? That's why it's worth your attention?
Because it's
You
exciting.
are what you give your attention to too, you know? So, girl, the last reality TV show I really watched, and I mean, it was messy, was probably like I Love New York. And that's very telling.
I mean, I have watched reality television shows in my lifetime too. I've noticed in the past 4 or 5 years, nothing holds my attention, even if I do happen to give it a gaze for a little while, because I am choosing to direct my energy towards other things. I'm always learning and studying. Yeah. Taking some courses, doing some things, running some business. I don't have time for it anymore. Mm-hmm. And I realized that before it was just oh, that's what was going on in the world. My Libra rising was being nosy.
Libras are nosy too. They want to know all the tea. I'm nosy too. I'm still nosy. But
we secretly want all the details. We have Virgo in the 12th. Libra energy has Virgo in the 12th. I secretly wants to know all the little details.
So that I know how to act.
Listen, yes. So I'll recognize what to go with, because it's a social sign, Paul. Excellence.
And that is not necessarily a bad thing, because Libras meet other people where they're at.
That's true. And that's why y'all will call them fake and phony. That's why they will say it. No, it's a skill.
They're strategic. It's a strategy.
That is a strategy and a skill.
That is a strategy. I'm cool with it. I'm cool. That's fine.
But if you use it badly, I can see where, some people do.
I was just discussing with you before that I have Sarah's in my first house, and I have that in Libra. That's conjunct my ascendant. So I actually like to get to know all the information so that I can help you.
Yes, exactly. But
I gotta know the good, bad, and the ugly in order to be able to help you.
Yes, what does she consider beautiful? What does she like? Oh, what's going on here? Oh, what is the air? Libra's the air. Air wants to be everywhere. All the air signs share that quality,
Yeah.
And I think Aquarius is the one that really clings to the fact that it wants to be everywhere. So that's why it's fuck you so easily, because look, you can't tie me down. This is where I am fixed in my freedom. But it's interesting that in the collective and in the times and everything that are going on right now, if we are not cognizant of the fact that there's constantly something out there vying for your attention. And I feel like a retrograde cycle is an extra nudge from the universe to start really going in, because there's so much externally going on at any given moment between the news and politics and all these different things that are occurring. We're in an unprecedented year. I hate that phrase and keep saying it. There's a lot going on externally, so much so that people can't focus on what's going on internally. Then you've got the fact that you've heard them say that there's a lot of issues that people are going through since 2020, and having to be, I guess, at home more. People are experiencing more violence. There's more addiction. A lot of stuff going on.
There's more abuse.
Definitely more abuse.
I think it was you. You shared an article that some man got caught molesting a little girl during her school session.
Yes.
Her online school session. Unfortunately, it's happening in epic proportions, because it was already happening in epic
proportions. But now we're home more.
But now you're home more. And now you have more access and opportunities to things. And this is the darkness. So, you know what? We can consider ourselves separate from these things. But what I will tell you is that you chose to exist in the same world that this shit happens. So just how separate is that from you?
It's all connected. So, that being said, number one, this is a prime time, I think, for some really good, really profound self-awareness, which means if we're all connected, because we'll always talk about, if we're talking about like Aries is self, Libra is other, opposites, same energy, different ends of the spectrum. So that proves connectedness right there. But then also, if you're going to get the opportunity to go inward, make it count. Because this is the energy that the universe is under. Same thing as if you wake up and it's raining like it is today, right?
Yeah.
You have to deal with the rainy day. I mean, you could go back to sleep all day if you wanted to. That's still dealing with the rainy day. You have no control over the weather and how it's going to be. You have to navigate yourself through it. It's the same thing with the astrological weather. So focus on depth, things going on beneath the surface, and what's true.
Right. And you know what? Because of Scorpio energy, that has to pull from the Taurus polarity then, right? So Scorpio, see how she talks at the appropriate time?
Okay. Yes, Bia, I hear you. Okay.
Right? She has this way of just like responding to stuff, I swear. Anyway, so Scorpio is things that are dead underneath the ground, right? The taboo,
hidden,
the hidden, you know, the
secrets,
the mysterious, right? Scorpio loves mystery, and they like being mysterious. Their energy is like black velvet with like a candle lit in front of it. It's like hot, but like alluring. Like you want to touch the flame, you know, but you can't.
What's a sign on fire?
See, I'm telling you, they're like liquid fire to me. Scorpio energy is like liquid fire. It's like lava to me. Like
that
it's
Mars rulership. It makes sense.
It does make a lot of sense, but Scorpio has to pull from its polarity of Taurus. So if Scorpio is everything that is dead, Taurus is everything that's living. It's the in terms.
Well, you think about it too. They're in the times of year. So in spring,
that's Taurus, when everything comes back to life.
Taurus is maintaining everything that's sprung back up. Scorpio is maintaining fall. When things are dying.
Right.
So you're right.
So your rewards for doing your inner work are inconceivable almost.
Because then if you think of and you should always think of and you see I'm about to spark up, no shame. But you think of the zodiac wheel as telling a story. By the time we hit Libra season, it's the harvest. Now, everything that you did for the first part of the astrological year, which starts with Aries season, you should start seeing you're reaping a lot of that. Now, our ancestors had to prepare for winter, so it was important that they did everything they were supposed to do in all preceding seasons. So when it was Aries season, they had to be like, all right, let's get some seeds in here. Let's get it going. But it's really funny to me that we don't think of, because Western astrology is based on the path of the sun. The sun's ecliptic, which is just the seasons in the northern hemisphere, at least. So it's so easy to tie those things together and look at these things and see how they fit. So it's fall. We're getting ready for winter. things have to die. The natural cycle of life right now is that things are dying off. You should have already collected what you can preserve and hold on to maintain you through, that period, right? So the next season is Sagittarius season. So after we've balanced things out, Libra, killed shit off, rebirthed ourselves anew, now we can stand in the place of Sag. Do y'all not know Sagittarius energy? Jupiter ruled, expansive, let me get out there and do some shit. Let me explore.
And let
me seek a singular truth. That's what, see? But what did we just say? You have to decide which one of those you're going to pick, because that's where you're going to go. But see, it tells a story.
Like I said, I've been talking to my brother. My brother is a Sag. Unfortunately, I don't have the rest of his birth information, so I have no idea what the rest of his chart looks like. But my brother is a Sag, and he's been displaying such Sagittarian traits. He's so fixated on a result, but he's failing to actually take the journey himself. So it's like, it's this idea he has, but it's not going to manifest because he's too worried about the end goal and not about the little steps that it takes to achieve it. And I had to tell him that. I had to break that down for kid, because
that makes so much sense.
You don't want to be 30 fucking years old finding out that you've been trying to skip over shit.
Listen, that's a collective lesson too, because the North Node is in Gemini and the South Node is in Sag. We're supposed to be kind of leaving behind the singular, like, not that Sag energy can't be used in a positive way. Again, polarity is part of the Gemini energy, but we're supposed to be open now. And too many people are falling back on the South Node, and therefore, doing the negative sad shit. Okay, standing on your soapbox. This is the way I've always done things. I know better. It's like the guy that went off on a quest by himself, decided to leave everything behind and just goes wherever he wants to go on a whim, seeking just this one thing. You know what I mean? And that's all he's focused on. So the people that he meet in his journey, right, they're not as important as where he's going. So that's like the energy of it. We can use that positively. So
absolutely.
Remember we were talking about some of how hard it is to face truth.
Mm-hmm.
Because what truths are coming up for people? Like, these are collective things coming up. We've been noticing this just sprinkled through the collective. And with people, there are common themes. So a lot of people, and I know for me, I have I'm a water Mercury. I have Mercury in Pisces, and I have it natally retrograde. So, I don't know if y'all would like to venture there. It's an interesting place to be. It literally feels like I'm absorbing knowledge through how things feel, but having an understanding
makes a lot of sense. That somehow makes a lot of sense, because I resonate with that too.
It feels like
I have a fire Mercury, but I'm
trying to think of how to describe it. If it don't feel right, I don't have an understanding of it. But water Mercuries, you guys, this energy is trining. Well, actually, Scorpio season energy will trine your Mercury. When Mercury moves forward again, because it's in Libra now, that will be trining your Mercury. You guys already have this semblance of feeling and emotion and intuition when it comes to how you process things, how you understand them, how you come to an understanding, and how you communicate, So, this energy, trines are easy flows of energy. Scorpio is invading Pisces. Scorpio is invading Cancer. So you can kind of look at it like, if you're a Cancer or you have a Cancer Mercury. I'm specifically just talking about that for now, but I guess it could apply to any Cancer placements, really. you're getting an opportunity. Okay, so you have initiating emotional qualities about you. It's a cardinal sign. It wants to go. So you're so in flow and ready to go with feelings. The Scorpio influence is giving you, first of all, Scorpio wants to be fixated somewhere. It wants to be stuck somewhere. It doesn't want to just be there and then there.
Well, it kind of makes sense, because in order for you to deal with something, you have to fucking sit there and look at it.
Then you got to stick in it and sit in it.
You have to sit in your own shit for all intents and purposes. You know?
Ma'am.
So it just makes sense. She keeps co-signing shit. She's quiet until I say something, and then she's like, yeah.
She's like, yes, bitch. I said it. But it's true. You have to. So, okay, you may be leading with your emotions, Cancer energy people, with this. This energy is asking you to stay in them. So if you're going to stay in them, what's worth staying in? What's worth examining? Really dig underneath the surface, like emotionally. Like, I'm sorry, like, you just have to. With Pisces, it's like that too. If you have a Pisces sun or Mercury, people make fun of Pisces energy. They think it's soft. Bitch, we are the end of winter, beginning of spring. I can be warm or I can be cold. It's either way. Now, the thing about that you're getting from Scorpio energy, Pisces, is you're getting asked to sit your ass down somewhere too, because you're ready to run off.
And stop creating the fucking illusions and
that
delusions
too.
And stop being a fucking actress.
You're getting help from Neptune right now. Even though Neptune's retrograde, so I feel like people are seeing it more, like you're recognizing that's an act. Mm-hmm. That's an act. You're going back over shit like, oh, like, but it's very much intuitive.
There has to be a willingness there, because you know what? If you are acting, the universe is pretty simple. You likely have somebody in your face that you feel is fucking acting. And you're likely getting a really good hard fucking look at it, but you're too busy focusing on the other person and not focusing on your perspective of said person. And you're not bringing it back. Well, how am I being disingenuous to myself? Maybe it's not that I'm disingenuous to other people intentionally. Maybe it's that I lie to myself first. And then you lie to other people by proxy.
Ma'am.
Just a suggestion, because I do it. And I'm not going to sit here and say I don't.
I feel you. On the other side of things, what would we say? A mirror? During the the sun shining on a water season, we get reflection. Don't we? What's being reflected back to you?
That's a good fucking question.
But it's like the waters are a little murkier because it's Scorpio, so you got to go in. You got to go in and under.
You're kind of left. You're kind of left with the choice. Sink or swim.
Yeah.
So you can get trapped in all the smog and let's say there's like quicksand underneath that water. You have no idea. And because you don't know what to grab hold of, you drown. Meanwhile, if you fixated and you sat there enough and you were humble enough and said, I live in a world that's totally going to shit right now, and all for good reason. What part do I play in this? What part do I play in this? Because we all chose to exist here at this time right now.
Yeah, I have that.
Any one person, you know what? For any one person to just be like, I'm just here to do nothing but good. I have nothing to work on. That I just choose to be a light in this world. Honey, you can be a light and still deal with your darkness. I don't understand where the misconception came from. That it has to be one or the other. I'm not getting it.
One doesn't exist without the other. So
one doesn't exist with.
How are you a light if you're not dark? You're not. See, but people don't. They don't listen. It's universal fucking law. Like it is. It's universal law. That's
But,
interesting that you say
everybody
that.
talks to God, and apparently God is instructing all these people to do all this crazy fucking shit. When it's just like, okay.
I'm dead, bitch. I'm dead.
Okay. Okay.
The accountability that one has to take for self has to be paramount. If that's not important to you, of course you're going to put your shit off on other people, and the world will always be about examining what other people do and never what you do.
That's always the case.
Everybody's telling everybody to heal, whatever. First of all, don't listen to me. Don't listen to me. If I don't resonate with you, don't listen. I mean, you can listen to me and be like, but do it because this hits something in you to make you like connect with what anybody is saying at any given moment. That goes for me too. I'm sure you feel the same.
Something won't resonate until one day it does.
Yeah.
I am, I'm a Taurus. I'm a little bit stubborn. So when I get new information, that has to process somewhere. That has to culminate. And either I fuck with it or I don't. And you know what? It might take a while before I fuck with it. But I will get there. I will get there. I think that every, we sort of live in the age of entrepreneurship now, right?
We do. Especially with COVID. Oh my God.
I mean, people are like selling scented candles, and I don't just mean like hand making them. I mean like Scentsy and things like that. Like people are selling all different types of things to keep their head, above water, and to create a freedom lifestyle.
I definitely get it.
Now, even more so in the spiritual community. People study something for 5 fucking minutes and then they want to make 6 figures off of it.
I've seen this
Girl.
happen. There are all these revealed videos about different people. I ain't going to name their names, but like really big people in the spiritual community who have all sorts of books and decks and stuff going.
We were
And stuff
discussing the other day.
Yeah, there's stuff coming out and you're like, okay.
You're supposed to be an authority, and you teach most of the shit that you create. You're teaching people how to surrender. You're trying to teach them how to surrender to the beauty of life. And when someone checks your ass because you do something uncouth, all of a sudden you're too big to be touched. That's where I take issue.
Yeah, that's not cool.
I don't care how much money you make. I don't care how many followers you have. Other people may look at that and go, you must be doing something right. Well, yeah, I mean, like you could be paying the right people to create.
Right, anything could be happening.
Everything could be happening for you. But don't ever get too big for your britches.
Hell no. Yo, if you're not always growing and learning, then I don't really know what you're doing. So I don't care if you have 2 million followers and you've written 17 books. If there's still not some sort of self-accountability, and being accountable to oneself is recognizing one shit and working on it and growing, then I don't care how many followers you have. Then I just don't. That doesn't mean anything. So it's interesting because we're seeing a lot of that happen and like accusatory things. But not only that, people feeling like, oh no, see, I can't not talk about this anymore. Like things have come to a head.
Energy where it's like, nope, putting this shit on the table now because enough is enough.
So that energy of them going inward and reflecting is making them be like, yo, okay, I got to get this out of me. That's another thing that people, I don't think, associate with the retrograde that they should. It's like they keep hearing, I shouldn't be starting this or doing that. It's not about not doing things. It's about how in accordance with the energy they are to flow in your favor. If you're finding the root cause is the shit that was underneath that murk that you have to deal with, sometimes it gotta come out. That don't mean hide it. That doesn't mean don't let it out.
And honestly, if you surround yourself with intuitives or other spiritual beings, there's no hiding.
That is true.
Somebody's going to pick up on how you feel.
Mm-hmm.
And everyone thinks that in their mind, my intuition's fire. I'm mad intuitive. So am I. And you ain't adding up. 2 and 2 equals 7 when I look at you.
This is what's happening, and I swear to you, this is what is happening in life. 2 and 2 is not equaling 7. It's not. So remember, I said before, dealing with this energy for yourself, but then having to deal with it as far as the collective goes. How is that been coming up for you? Like, I want people to actually sit with themselves and ask that, because if you're not picking up on things right now, like, that aren't necessarily
the energy
said,
is right.
the energy is right to tell you everything
like,
you need to know.
So if you're not getting something, it's because there's a subconscious resistance. And I want to go back to something you said earlier.
Mm-hmm.
You said what you focus on matters because it does something. I do, but maybe a lot of other people don't.
Mm-hmm.
They don't give their subconscious enough credit.
That is true.
Your subconscious governs 90%, over 90% of what you do, think, feel, and experience in your waking day.
Yes.
So if you think that your life is just a conscious creation, you got another thing coming. You got to get to that subconscious, honey, because that's where all the secrets are kept. And that's what Scorpio wants. Scorpio wants to get down into that subconscious, and it wants to go, let's rearrange some things here because it's kind of fucking messy down here. Let's
expose yourself. Things. Listen, that's why people get mad when I say Scorpio energy is so pure. And I mean pure by it wants the pure, unadulterated truth. It
wants to purify.
And yes, it needs the truth so it can purify. If I can't see exactly what I'm dealing with, I can't deal with it.
I don't see the issue with calling Scorpio energy pure energy. When it is utilized to its full advantage, it is undoubtedly pure. It's like holy water.
Yes, and you have killed off something, but not just killed something off.
You've used it for fertilizer.
Yes.
For what? The Taurus polarity to maintain feed,
life.
Nourish.
Yes, to feed Earth. Life. I love it. Elemental as fuck today. Listen.
Yes.
If you are very much able to at this point, you should give your feelings more credence. You know how some people just they don't want to deal with that. Like, seriously, trust how you feel. I think a lot of people are scared to do that. And what winds up happening is they think, oh, I'm just being this. Oh, it can't be that. Nah. Feelings are right. Like she just said. True. Listen, you're going to find this is the time to feel out that truth. No matter how you regularly deal with things going on the undercurrent.
Because I got to say, if the truth is placing someone else in the hot seat or the bad seat over you, that's not the truth.
No, not at all.
That's not the truth.
Not at all.
That's your truth. That's not the truth. The truth is that people come into your life to trigger things out of you. And honestly, it's us with the weak boundaries. We can still learn something from somebody and watch them from a distance and still pick up on things.
Yes, ma'am.
A lot of us connect ourselves so deeply and entangle ourselves. I think that's like the word of the year, entanglement, right?
Entanglement.
Unprecedented and entanglement. Those are like the two major keywords of this year. So
never used them so much in my life.
No, never. And I usually say entanglement to be funny. I don't even really say it anymore to be like serious. Now it's like a joke, but
I get it.
If your truth is that somebody else is always the bad person, that's not the truth. That's your truth.
Yes, ma'am.
So we are responsible for our surroundings. That means people, places, things, We are solely responsible for that.
Yes,
Everything we
ma'am.
do is a co-creative. It is co-creational. But in order for that to have been created, you had to come with a part of the recipe, and the other person had to come with a part of the recipe.
You bring the eggs, I bring the milk.
Were my eggs spoiled? Was your milk spoiled?
It was curdled.
It was curdled. Was the sugar really salt? I think so. I think what a lot of people consider to be sweetness is actually real fucking salty.
Listen, you expect people to bring certain things to the table, but are you really sure they're bringing to the table what are you bringing to the table what you said you're bringing to the table?
That's a good fucking question.
Your salt look like sugar and vice versa.
You have to taste it first. You have to taste it.
So that's sitting with all this shit. Taurus taste. Oh.
You'll
Listen,
know immediately.
You will.
And I've been seeing that a lot around me. There's this energy sort of
Bia agrees.
Yeah, she's like, I'm sick of bitches. So there's this energy of possession, which is very scorpionic.
Yes,
in a different
definitely.
way. In a different way.
Oh yeah, it's obsessive.
Taurus is possessive too. Taurus is possessive too.
Yeah.
Taurus can be possessive over people. I've been both. Maybe
it's more of a tangible expression of possessiveness. It's like things I can actually have, things,
items.
It likes to indulge with the senses too, but then Scorpio is like, I will possess your soul.
Yes, Scorpio wants to possess your soul because they want to purify it. And you have to sort of give it over to them in order for them to be able to do that. So their intensity, it serves a purpose. It's just, have they done their scorpionic duty?
Listen, that counts too. So when we were talking about being able to separate the understanding that you have a choice, so you can choose the higher vibrations of something, or you could choose the lower vibrations of something. What are you choosing? So for the Scorpio energy, a lot of people will give this energy flack, and then we've got this beautiful full moon coming too. Child. Full moon
I am
Taurus.
very excited for that. I am very excited.
I'm excited too, but I feel like more of what listen to what we are saying, please. If it resonates in any way, like keep your ear open, because some of the lower vibrations of Scorpio are going to very much be on display. Everybody isn't attuning themselves to, the higher, you know what, too, and I should just pull up the list, but I'm telling you guys, the parts of Scorpio energy that allow you really to die, be reborn, but not only die and be reborn, be comfortable in that rebirth. A lot of times when we have to let things go or change something, especially if it's something deep-seated and that we haven't been addressing, that makes it even worse because you ain't even been dealing with it. So now that it's sitting right here and you're forced to deal with it, it's uncomfortable. You don't like it. And if you're not careful with it, you could just be pushing yourself further away from actually dealing with whatever that thing is. The full moon coming in Taurus, I feel like I automatically think of what is worth it to you. That's the theme that this moon screams at me. So in all this energy, so that goes back to what we said earlier, what is worth it to you? To have the light shine on and to have to deal with. Now listen, I mean this from the very bottom of my soul. I don't think there's anyone who is ill-equipped to deal with even the hardest shit. Everybody does it at different paces. It's not something that's instantaneous either. It's work.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want people to think that I'm like making their experiences small or making it seem like
minimizing
things
your
are easy.
experience.
Yeah, I'm not doing that at all. I'm just like, if you had any idea of the shit that I've endured in my lifetime, I say I'm not speaking from a place of not understanding some of the most vicious trauma. Okay? But what I am saying is that I have enough faith in you as a human being to be able to start to work through that trauma.
Mm-hmm.
So when we get these astrological cycles and we get these time frames where I'm saying, hey, you should focus on this part of the energy, there's always something going on astrologically. If you look down to every single thing that was going, dude, the devil would then be in the details. There would be so much, but there are certain things that stand out and that we choose to talk about for a reason. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to ask the Renaissance Mystic. We started with, okay, I need to be accountable and face my truth. Mm-hmm. What do you think the collective needs to hear as far as truth right now? Because we were talking about that the other day, and I feel like there's a reason why themes of truth keep coming up.
So I think one of the most potent is that so long as there is childhood trauma and your idea of what trauma is needs to be redefined. Because trauma is not just sexual abuse. Trauma is not just emotional abuse. Trauma is whatever you were fed by your family members or your family unit and your surroundings that took you out of your essence. So when you started adapting to things that you didn't quite believe in, but you were sort of forced, that is a trauma, because you are now forced to act in such a way that does not go according to what you believe to be true or right. That is a trauma.
Yeah.
And a pillar at that, and a pillar of your trauma at that. Secondly, if you did incur any sort of sexual abuse and you haven't dealt with it, you carry the energy of sexual abuse. And unfortunately, that means that when you interact with somebody, you're feeding them that, especially if they have encountered that as well, which is 9 times out of 10, the absolute truth. So there's this bonding and mutual
trauma bonding.
Yeah, trauma bonding and mutual reception of sexually distorted energy. Is that what you want to create life on? Is that the blueprint that you want your children to have? And when you're an adult who thinks that they're beyond dealing with their sexual trauma, then you yourself become an abuser. And that doesn't mean that you sexually abuse people. No. It means that you are your sexual energy is now manipulative, because that's what it knows. So therefore, your energy becomes very manipulative towards other people. You become almost a spiritual molester. Nobody wants to hear this, but I have felt like I have been groomed by people before.
Yeah.
And not in a sexual sense. But they were people with unresolved sexual energy, and I couldn't separate the two.
Right.
I just couldn't fucking bring myself to do it. And it's not because I didn't want to. I don't want that to be the case. But when you have unresolved sexual trauma, you become an abuser and a groomer.
And a manipulator.
And a manipulator to other people.
It makes sense. Because your sexual energy is creative energy, right? So
and it's what attracts most people to you, because let's face it, most of humanity hasn't risen their awareness outside of their genitals. So let's not pretend like almost every interaction with somebody is damn near sexual, because that's how they think.
And then a lot of people will use their sexual energy that is not being poured into sex itself into other creative expression. It's just transforming that energy. So it's still something that attracts, even if it attracts on, that sort of level. It's very important. People don't, it sounds crazy to most people, but it's very
like, what
much
if you're
true.
a coach, like a spiritual coach, and you have unresolved sexual trauma? You've laced your entire program, that thing you
With
created.
that, yeah.
You've laced your entire program with that.
I get it.
So that's something that needs to be said.
Teachers, same thing. Parents and
teachers. Oh my God.
Oh my God.
I was in school and a teacher got in trouble. I don't know if he did it, but he got in trouble for being inappropriate with one of the students. Now, I don't know if he was just flirting with her, or I don't know if he was actually like engaged. This is in high school though. So I don't know if he was actually engaging in sexual activity with her. But I remember him I'm pretty sure he got fired. And that's that. Like, you also, when you have sexually distorted energy, meaning your sexual energy has been tainted because it was taken from you, and then somewhere in your subconscious, you believe that that's the only way that you can communicate or forge bonds with somebody is by taking something that doesn't belong to you.
Mm.
That could be on an energetic sense, and it could be in an emotional sense. It could be sexual too, right? Yeah. So we get upset when men want to drink with women and, lure them with drugs. Do you know how many women try to get my best friend drunk all the time? And he's like, no, he doesn't do drugs. He doesn't drink, and he can't be swayed. A lot of these women out here acting like sexual predators, and that needs to be fucking said too. You need to stop hiding behind your vagina. It's not a shield.
It isn't.
You're a predator. You're a predator. Yeah. End of story. End of story.
That goes into so many areas too, because when you see people get molested by women, it's just like, then there's jokes made about it, and men are always like,
wish teachers were like that when I was growing up. Do you really though? Do you really? Do you really? You don't say that.
Please don't.
Is that the world that you want your kids living in? Because if it's okay for a hot woman to sleep with a young kid, then it's okay for a hot man to sleep with a young kid. In which case, none of which are okay. So you need to stop. You need to stop with the penthouse fantasies. The pornography culture is just out of pocket at the moment. Everything, people are so deeply ingrained with watching other people have sex that everything outside of them becomes a sex scene. I don't vibe with that.
Me neither.
I don't vibe with that.
And this is not a dig at anybody that does sex work, but I think there's a difference. No. There's a difference too. There's a sacred connection, especially like anybody that does any sort of BDSM and you do it appropriately. There's a trust and an exchange that you're having. Right, there's a surrender that happens. But we're talking about just random. You already know, because a lot of people who are exposed to pornography young really don't see a problem with it the way people who either don't watch it really at all or who didn't really fuck with it young. They don't understand their acceptance happened earlier to certain things, which affected them in different ways. People really don't.
That is trauma.
It is a trauma.
I should not have known that. I should not have known
as
a kid what that was. But the abuse had already taken place. So your awareness subconsciously begins to pick up on these things. Ooh, I shouldn't see. Ooh, I shouldn't. I shouldn't.
Right. You're chasing that. It's like chasing an initial high or something, even though it was a low.
Yes. So that gives you food for thought, okay? Because like you said, we're not shitting on sex work. It's actually a really reputable.
Bia agree. Apparently, Bia.
That's Niall now.
Okay. The Capricorn. But that's even funnier. The Capricorn said, "Get that paper."
He said,
Get some
by
money,
any
ladies.
means necessary, but purify yourself. Because if you do sex work because subconsciously you think that that's what you deserve or that's all you have to offer, that's an issue. Because then you're not really providing a person with a safe experience.
What are they getting in the exchange?
It's more of a defiling, which has its place, I guess. It has its place. But if I was to be, like some priestesses back in the day were sacred prostitutes.
Yes.
But they did levels of alchemy and healing that we can't even fathom. So the same energy wasn't really present. Not saying that there isn't a darker aspect to the feminine or to the masculine that can't be exposed and extracted. But if it's pretty much just like paid sexual abuse because you have two traumatized people sleeping with each other or doing whatever, to me that's not sacred. That's
there's an exchange of energy going on. So think of as like a sacred prostitute, which you would have to be transmuting that you're taking in. And then also what you would be giving to the other person so that this exchange could even be considered healing in some capacity.
absolutely.
You know what I mean? Like we're just recycling trauma energy between each other. And especially when we fail to look at what's going on for real under the surface.
I had a dream a few months ago. Now I've been working on, you know this, but I have been working on, my generational issues which honestly is very appropriate for Scorpio season because most of our shadows come from the family line. So doing your ancestor work and your generational work, it honestly, for me, feels like of the utmost importance. At least for me. But so what runs in my family is pedophilia and incest. But it's masked. It's masked. It's not evident to people. You would never know if you didn't hear it from me, and I've noticed that, ma'am.
How dare you?
I'm going to mute him. I'm going to mute him.
All right, we're going to pause for just a moment.
So doing your generational work is important because you're alchemizing generational trauma. Now, your generational trauma may not look the same way for you that it did for your aunt or for your mom or for your dad or for your brother. It will look very different, but the energetic signature is going to be the same. The blueprint of that energy is precise because it's been passed down through the DNA. Everything about you is genetic. Your consciousness is genetic. Everything about you is genetic. Your illnesses, your looks, your traumas, it's all genetic. It's all genetic, right? So we're going through an immense period where our DNA is being upgraded. But we have to do the work too. We have to relinquish things, right? So like I said, my spidey senses get real zeroed in on pedophilia energy and incest energy because that's what exists in my family, as well as negative partnerships. There's negative associations to men. Women have an issue with the men that they choose, but there's built-in misogyny into the family that's namely feminine.
Yes, ma'am.
The amount of female members far outweighs the amount of male members, and there's a lot of built-in misogyny in my family. Okay? So that's something that has to get dealt with because, your grandmother's, she allowed herself to get raped and her children to get raped just because she had nothing else going for her. She didn't know what else to do. Is that like what you want for future generations? Is that what you want? So These are the darker sides of things that exist in almost every fucking family I know. I it's easier to say who hasn't experienced this shit than it is who has. Because the answer of who has is a damn near everybody. You know? So everybody that I know has gone through some shit. Me and you exchange stories. Me and my other friends exchange stories. Even when I wasn't really focusing on sexual trauma in a session with somebody, it comes up.
Yeah.
It comes up. Absolutely it does. So there's this understanding that I have, like, I have like these bloodhound like senses that just pick up when there's something there. And it's like, I don't care if you don't remember it. I feel it. And it's not just me. Because I've come to the place on my healing journey where my experiences, they've allowed me to become who I am so that I can hold space for other people. And I think it's a beautiful thing. And I'm not triggered or traumatized by my experiences anymore. They have become my fertilizer.
Yes.
And I'm able to hold space for people who, I understand everything hurts somebody differently.
Right.
From my perspective, people who have gone through far more difficult things than I have. And I hold very sacred space for them. And for people who have PTSD in regards to sexuality or things like that, I'm able to hold space for them and make them feel safe, because you reacting to the, oh my God, I can't believe, they don't need that.
Right.
They don't need you to do that. That's you showing yourself how unhealed you are. Because we can feel strongly about something, but we don't have to react every single time. The overreaction, the violence, you know, if you utilize that experience properly, meaning you do the healing that needs to be done and you become a voice for people just like you.
Yes.
That's how you fix it. That's how you alchemize it. So being the first one in my family to be, not the first one to be honest about my experiences, because there were a few before me.
Right.
But not on a social platform. I've been very honest. I don't go into detail because a lot of family members do follow me. And it's not that I want to avoid conflict with them. It's just you're already resistant. So digging that in deeper is not something I'm interested in doing.
Yeah, I gotcha.
It's not because I have anything to hide.
It's because you'd be helping to create more resistance if you respond a certain way.
So when I post something, my family members could easily go, oh, maybe she's talking about the other side of her family. Maybe it's not this one. Let them think what the fuck they want to think, because they know what's coming up for them. They do. I'm not in control of what they do with the information I provide. You know what I mean? So for as long as you don't deal with that, you're giving that to somebody else. And is that what you want to do? That's not what I want to do. That's not what I want to do.
Nor I
want to be. I am pure. I want to maintain that purity. Purity doesn't mean that you don't have impurities.
Right.
It means that you recognize yourself on a grander level of, okay, I can integrate that into my beauty, my light, my sovereignty.
I agree.
And I think that's a really big lesson for Scorpio season.
Yes.
It's deep. It's deep. Scorpio's deep. You got to get with it.
And I feel like there's some things that we all know are going to be uncomfortable, so that's why we avoid them. But doing your work sometimes means having to deal with those things. So you might as well, it's going to be uncomfortable. There's no way around it. That's just part of it. That doesn't mean it's not worth it.
No, it's very worth it, because you're clearing generational karma and trauma. And not only are you opening yourself up to experience more of your own light, but you're creating more light when you create families, and you're bringing people into this world with a safer foundation.
Yes, ma'am.
And a lot of people can't seem to get out of their own way because it's like, well, this is hard for me. It's hard for everybody. Shut up. The fuck?
It's not easy for anyone. That's an important thing to put there. Look, the more that you get, people get mad when I say this, but it's like victim mentality. Look, nobody is invalidating your experience by saying it's hard for everybody. This is just a reminder so that you don't become such a selfish dick that when, let's say, okay, usually people snap on you and say that when you're in the midst of trying to be there for them while they're going through this. First of all, you know how many people don't have anybody to help them go through it? How blessed you are that someone showed up for you? I'm just saying. But when that occurs and people are being ingrates, and no one is thinking outside of themselves. You want somebody to think about you, but you're not thinking about what it's like on the other side of this exchange. I think this is an important thing that we have to do with this energy. Like, okay, yeah, I could be going through my shit right now, but if I'm not considering the person that I'm talking to, their ability to receive me right now, whether it's even a good time for them to do that, like, I need to get more in the habit of this. And I say it all the time, like, damn, are you even, can you hold space for me right now so that
I'm
we can
guilty of that
exchange?
too. I'll just
You
message
know?
you or some shit and I'll be
But,
like,
but I think the way that we do it is like when the other party, when I get back on Messenger, I'm going to see it. It's not like, you know what I mean? Whatever's
I'm
going on,
not
but
really interrupting anything you're doing. It's more like it's there for when.
for whenever.
Mm-hmm.
But in our one-to-one, like maybe not so many face-to-face these days, conversations in person with a lot of different people, maybe one thing that we're not doing is thinking of how we're taking or what other people are going through that are going to make them respond to us a certain way. I think if you look through life through a very like narrow lens, once you are dealing with your trauma and your hurt, and it's just kind of like, this is uncomfortable anyway, it's very easy to get caught up in like
Feeling disrespected and slighted.
and selfishly thinking that you're all that matters. I mean, yes, there's a part of you that has to go within self, but how do you do that when you interact with others so that they're not slighted by that? Yes,
I
we
think
see all these things.
the
Yeah,
misconception is you are most important to you. You're not most important in comparison or contrast to anyone.
right. Thank you. That's a good distinction to make because that being the case, someone else is going to probably themselves is going to be the most important to them. So why would they respond to you like you're the most important thing to them? That's the other thing. It's like what we throw that on other people. Look, I'm appreciative if you listen, communicate, talk, interact with me.
Same.
Hopefully I can get something from every single exchange, even the ones that we have with people that like we're like what just happened.
Unsavory, right?
I learned something, I take something from it, you know, but you have to
Mm-hmm.
recognize where, oh my gosh, I may be like so focused on me that I'm not thinking about how I come off, and maybe you don't care, and I get it, like sometimes that happens, but this is not the time.
It's not the time to fuck around.
No, the Scorpio energy, along with this telling you all this positive shit, like makes people suspicious as fuck. So if you moving funny in any way because you can't, I, for whatever reason, if you're
There's going to be
moving funny,
a lot of questioning.
yes, it is better to be as clear as can be in this heavy energy because people are already on alert. The Scorpion is poised to sting, like. So, you know, given that that's the case in situations and environments where you value the people around you, you got to kind of stay on even. Everybody's going through something right now. I pull cards. I know she's going to pull cards too.
Yes, you are not, nobody is on a pedestal above people or beneath people because to be honest, because of the law of polarity, there does have to be a level of density to match the brilliance of the light that's in this world. So
Right.
we really all kind of have to come out of that like polarized thinking. I'm not saying you have to like everything, but you have to understand that in some capacity it serves its purpose.
Right.
You know? Again, we just so happened to decided that we wanted to be here.
Yeah.
That means that you have to deal with earthly issues. What your brethren and sistren, that's not a word.
Yeah, but hey, I like it.
Yes. Your brothers and sisters are all going through something, and you're not separate from it. You're not separate from it. So you can do all the egotistical gymnastics that you want. You can walk all the tight ropes you want. You know, you can do all the cartwheels and flips around the fucking truth that you want. But we're all here to deal with certain things.
Yes.
And guess what? Scorpio season with Mars retrograde in Aries, that screams sexual abuse for me.
That's a huge theme. Violence too.
Sexual violence, just regular violence. Look at what was going on, you know, in Philly a few days ago, and look what's going on around the world. You know, I said to you, I felt, even though I know that there was some still some shit happening, I really had felt like it calmed down a little bit. And then all of a sudden there was just this spike.
It's going to continue by my estimate.
Yes, it is going to continue, and I wholeheartedly believe it, and I wholeheartedly expect it. Your mission, there are some people who are meant to be warriors on the front lines. That's fine. There are other people who are really meant to be creating safe places at home, especially women. Women, we abandoned each other for a very, very long time. We fought over men to be property, to be some prized piece, right?
Yes.
I know women whose husbands were sexually abusing their children, and instead of feeling the need to do something about it, they felt jealous.
Yep.
What? This is and females, we got to do better. Sorry.
Yes, we do.
You got to do better. You have to face your shadows too, and the fact that you're just as manipulative and as aggressive as men.
This full moon in Taurus should put some light on that too. The moon is exalted in Taurus. So the motherly nurturing energy is very much appreciated in the energy of Taurus. But again, I keep saying, what's valuable to you? So think about that for a minute, which you just said. Some of these things that people are holding on to. Oh, she agreeing. Excuse me. But some of the things that people have to be dealing with, that the values are skewed. Like what you just said was a value that was askew.
Yes.
For one to allow, I can't even fathom allowing myself to feel any sort of jealousy towards my child being molested, basically. So that's a skewed values. Uranus is in Taurus too. We're getting our values tested. Shout outs to Marie Russo for putting it this way. It stuck with me ever since she said it. Your values is getting irritated. Now, what are your values? Because value sounds like a good thing, right? Well, depending on where it lays for somebody.
You could be embodying the females, the feminine. You could be embodying the dark mother, or you can be embodying the loving mother. You get to choose which one you want to be. I think a lot of women too, if you have endured sexual abuse, you should be looking for signs and symptoms within your kids. So if your kids are hypersexual, well, we live in the age where there's just ass and titties everywhere, and you really don't have to have special access for it.
True.
You know? So kids' minds are being corrupted earlier. Being okay with sexuality is okay. But what happened to just like tasteful nudes, paintings? That's sexuality.
Sexuality isn't just
not like facials and anal sex.
yeah.
Like that's not, your kids don't need to be okay with that. Like that's not what they should be okay with. They should be okay with, nude sculptures and like, being able to feel comfortable in their own bodies. They don't
The
need to
human
watch
body's
Vegas.
beautiful. Yeah. The human body's beautiful. I don't think there's any, it's just, there's not the value is askew. Again, another thing.
The value is askew. Yes. The entire world has been, it's sexually tainted. We are sexually sick. We are diseased.
I agree.
In the realms of sexuality. And if you don't hear that nowhere else, I'm sorry. But we're saying it here and we're standing by it.
So that's heavy.
That is very heavy.
Listen, I pulled cards for the elements.
I love it.
Just to make it, I'm sorry. I just was like, woo, it kind of hit me and stuck me right here. Yep. Starting with fire, risings, suns, moons. So that's Aries, Sagittarius peoples. She said Leo peoples. I pulled from the Wisdom of the House of the Night deck and the Moonology deck, and individuality came up for the fire signs. So, listen, Mars came to mind when I saw this. Mars is like right now in its like favorite place to be, right? And it's not going at its regular expression. This energy is getting pushed inward. What parts of you that make you you, that that make you deep down, you feel it burning, are being suppressed and pushed inward? And why? That's not always a bad thing.
No, it can be a conditioning.
Yeah, you might need, listen, I'm sorry, fire spirit wants to move. Okay, so it can feel particularly damaging, especially I feel like to fire moon people.
Oh yeah.
For emotions to just be pushed more inward. You want that expression out of you, like you know what I mean. You want it to go. You want it to have space to move. It needs to do that. So when it doesn't, why is that happening? Sometimes it's to get shit to your attention. There's something about your individual journey, your individual self, your sense of self, I should say, that is making you feel like movement needs to happen. Movement can happen in the form of like physical movement. You can channel that through there. Some people do that all the time, and it seems to let out a lot of their internal turmoil and aggression. You still have to deal with what's at the core of it, but you might have to speak on some shit.
Journeys are spiritual and inward as well.
Yes.
Not just physical.
Then the waxing crescent moon card came up for them, which means have faith in your dreams. The thing about that is, so, okay, another thing. Sorry, Mercury would rather be in Gemini or Virgo, but it's now back in Libra. Still an air sign, still about processing things in a certain way. But the Scorpio energy wants you to go beneath the surface. A lot of people, when they need to go underneath the surface, they're not able to do so consciously. Like you said earlier, like 90% of what's going on with us is actually coming from a subconscious place. The dream realm, I think, is a great place for people to utilize to their advantage, that a lot of people kind of look at as this like weird mystical thing that like randomly happens, that there's no value hidden in there. So for fire, suns, risings, and moons, it's saying there's something for you to have faith in your dreams. Having faith is about knowing that there's going to be something found there for you. The faith is that this will occur, because if it didn't exist, it wouldn't be faith. You're not just, oh, I kind of hope that's going to happen. No, you force yourself to I hate to say force yourself to be open I'll find something there. There's something in the subconscious for you to find at that place.
Oh, absolutely. When I think of fire signs, you know, when you look at like the Ace of Wands in the tarot or something, it's like someone lit a torch that you can now use to illuminate places within you. See?
Oh, pull a card for the fire signs.
Well, funny you say that, because the first card that I pulled was the Sun.
We might as well stay on, like, just go in the elements so they can get their goodies.
You know what I mean?
So you got the Sun. Oh, personality, individuality. That's
what's inherited and what's yours.
Hmm.
That's good discerning too. Scorpio wants to know what's mine, what's not mine. I'm gonna give it back to you if it's not mine.
Yeah,
you know, I have it. So, you know,
Scorpio represents shared resources and legacies. That's the 8th house shit that all has to do with your family line.
I have an 8th house sun, so
what have you been sharing that ain't yours? It's only yours by way of
having adopted it.
Because of its relative with family. We don't need to hold on to all stuff like that. We don't. But you got the Sun card for them? Hey.
I got the Sun card for them, and then I only pulled 3, so I'm gonna do one for water now. And you know what?
Oh, no. What I'm saying is it'll be easier if we go in order. So I was doing Earth next. So I pulled 2 cards, and then I want you to say whatever cards. Are you done with fire?
Oh, yeah. Well, no, because I pulled 2 for each element. So what I'm saying is, though, I only pulled 3, so I only have 3 elements being depicted.
Oh, okay. Okay, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Let me know when you get the fire. Look at me trying to organize. Look at my Capricorn moonlight. Come on.
You're all good. It's all good.
It'll be easier. So, yeah, that individuality and then that Sun card coming up. And the need to have a certain amount of faith.
Yes. So then I will, you know what? I'm going to just pull the book out because this is a new deck. So I'm getting acclimated. I'm getting acclimated to the meanings. So we have the Sun card, which is illumination. It's positive. It's renewal. There's this ability to shine your light on something and for you to be able to create something new with it. You know, see it in a different light, right? The sun shines a different ray of light at different times of the day. It serves a purpose, you know? Like you have dusk and you have the sunset and you have midday sun, which is really strong, right? Midday sun is where your ass gets burnt the worst, you know? So it's like you get to sort of pick how you work with that light. You don't want your own light to consume you and to burn you up. You know, you want to know how to use it. And the sun nourishes things. So what do you want to nourish? What do you want to nourish? Because if you're not shining your light everywhere, then you can't see what exists everywhere. And therefore you may be nourishing things that you're not necessarily proud of or that you would like to give life to or vitality to, right? So I'm using the Kali Oracle deck as well. So I got 33. I'm almost there. I'm going to try to keep it as brief as possible. So for the fire signs, we got the Anahata Kali. Now, I'm really digging the sacred geometry that's around her chest.
Mm.
And she has this, I'm pretty sure, what is Anahata? Is that your heart chakra?
You are asking the wrong person with that.
Yes, heart chakra, it is.
Okay. Ooh.
So this is helping you to illuminate what's in your heart, what's your
More
true
sun
desire.
stuff, more Leo
right?
stuff.
Yep. So, beautiful power, mother of the sacred universal heart, who lives within our hearts as the wisdom and healing power of love. Your heart knows how to heal and how to open, how to break, and how to repair itself to become stronger and wiser than before. Your heart cannot be contained or constrained by what has taken place. Your heart wisdom and empowerment are growing. Soon you shall have the wisdom and courage to accomplish something very important for your soul journey. Trust in the invisible workings of divine love. Let your heart be at peace.
Mm.
The sun is very fitting for that.
Yes, it is.
Because your heart in and of itself is a light. You get to dust off the cobwebs around it. You get to change the filters. You get to use yourself. Use yourself in a positive sense, not in the negative sense. So
step up to the plate and be brave enough to do it too, because that sun is Leo energy, which rules the heart chakra. So it's
love is truth.
Yes.
Love is truth.
Yes, it is.
Only people who don't care about you lie to you.
Yes.
Love is truth.
Yes.
So stop feeling offended when somebody has something to say that could be valuable to you. Stop resisting just because you didn't fucking come up with it. Enough.
Dig it.
All right. So what'd you get?
So, oh no, I was done with fire. Are you still firing or?
No, I'm done now.
Okay, now we're Earth.
Earth, okay, cool.
Taurus, Virgo, Capricorn. You hear that, Moo?
Capricorn! You look right at me.
You got letting go for you guys. Now listen. Hey, Earth signs. Your element in general. Firm, usually. It's a stable place. Letting things go sometimes is not that easy, Earth signs. Being able to allow things to kind of die. Some I feel like it depends on a person's like whole chart, but in general, Earth is practical. Now, the letting go portion in this season has a lot to do with, for you, I'm picking up on, what do you consider practical? What is practical matters to you? For instance, we sat and talked a little about how our family can kind of be the seat of most of the things that we're dealing with in some of this energy. So some people have set their own set of rules, just on how I'm going to deal with life in general. Has it been practical for you thus far to deal with your family in the way that you've been dealing with them? This practicality, is it coming from a place of, okay, I don't, it really doesn't matter how I feel, but, I got to get through it. So if that's dealing with your family members having to do things you don't want to do just because, your family expects you to, all those sort of things. Someone could probably have convinced themselves that, I've had to be this way about it because, okay, it has to do with, you have to let go of the expectations of other people. Design your life and your behavior around what is best for you deep down underneath all of this. A lot of family trauma comes from, and people don't like this feeling of being pointed out for not going along to get along, because it's no longer practical to them to do that. That's not something that they want to do. It does not serve them well. The minute you start stepping up, then, people have something to say. This is how a lot of black sheep feel.
Yeah.
And then people teeter the line. Like, I don't want to feel like the weird one in the family because I'm challenging what they're doing or what they're saying or tradition or whatever it is. You have the ability right now to use this energy to let go of any parts of what you've identified with in your habits with your families, habits with yourself.
Absolutely.
That it's really not for you. And it's interesting because what comes up with that is basically the new moon in Cancer card for you Earth people. You and your loved ones are safe. Listen. What does letting go have a lot to do with? You can't surrender while you have fear that, something terrible is going to happen. Well, what you have to really do is get complete with the fact that no matter what happens, you'll be okay.
Yes.
The world is not going to fall apart because you stand your ground and no longer just go along with what your parents or your family wants you to do. It's good. Don't fear this process. So that's what we're getting for the Earth, suns, risings, and moons.
I love that.
What did you get for Earth?
I got the Wheel of Fortune.
Oh, bitches.
Yes. So the Wheel of Fortune is essentially saying that there are karmic cycles being turned, but you're also in control of how they turn. You're not necessarily at the will and mercy of karma.
Yes.
You are, for as long as you don't know what the fuck you're doing. Yes, you are. If you don't know your patterns, it may feel like you're being controlled by the universe, by some external source, right? But this is telling me that that's not true. See, all the fixed signs are represented here. This is telling me that even though we're talking about Taurus right now, or earth signs right now, that there is this understanding that there is a necessity to be fixed in one place for a little bit, to look at yourself, to nourish something, to allow it to grow and turn and change into something else.
Yeah.
Me and you were discussing something the other day when we talk about ego deaths. It's semantics.
Yeah.
Okay? It's semantics.
Because I told you I hate that term. I'm not trying to
Because we
kill
don't
my
kill
ego.
our ego, right? We don't kill our ego, we integrate it.
Yes.
So when you reject somebody saying, it's a little egotistical there, what's that? Don't get upset and hear that egotistical means somehow that you're self-centered. Your ego was actually put in place to protect you. So it is a defense mechanism. However, the world is so wrought with danger that every little perceived thing sets your ego on fire. And it just ravishes everything. And all of a sudden, everybody's an enemy.
Yeah.
Everybody's out to get you. My ego comes in when I feel like people don't want to listen to me. Because then I want to get loud. And then I want people to listen to me. That's me. That's where I get egotistical. You not being heard is a safety concern.
Yes.
It doesn't mean that I'm this like braggadocious asshole that just wants to be heard and paid attention to. No.
Pointing at a wound, yeah.
It's pointing at a wound where my little self knew something wasn't right and nobody wanted to listen to me. And then I incurred the consequences of that.
Right.
So it's not because I'm an egotistical asshole. It's because I need to feel safe. And if you're not listening to me, then that tells me that even if what I'm saying is not important, when it is, you will still fall short and still make me feel unsafe. Okay?
Yeah.
So there's this. See, this almost looks like the sun too. Look at these two next to each other. This was the sun, and this is the Wheel of Fortune. Guess what? Scorpio is a fixed sign.
And Leo's on the Wheel of Fortune, isn't it?
And Leo, Aquarius, Taurus, Scorpio.
So that's bringing the sun.
And do we have some really relevant placements in all of those? I don't know about Leo.
No, just because it ties the sun back into it, because
it does. Leo rules the sun, right? So there's this energy. It almost looks like it almost looks like a flower.
Yeah.
There's like it kind of has these like folded edges, like kind of looks like a petal, right? And you see different animals. So you see the bull, you see like it looks like a cleric.
Yeah.
You see an eagle, and then you see a lion. So bulls are sturdy and stubborn, but they get work done. They're hard workers, but they're slow. Slow doesn't mean bad.
No, you're taking your time.
Yes. Lions are meticulous. They're like big cats, right? They plan, they plot, they scheme. Not in a bad way, but they're premeditated, they're calculated. Cats very seldom take a step that they're gonna miss. They do, but not really, you know? Then you have the eagle. The eagle sends your wishes up to the heavens. It sees things from the highest perspective possible. And the cleric is someone who dedicates himself to truth and justice and virtue.
Yes.
So, for the earth signs, this is what you have. Dedicate yourself to those pillars, those virtues: truth, patience, heart, having tenacity and courage, and the ability to see things and be changeable. Okay. So then we got this card. It's called Kurukula.
Okay.
Which is a very earthy looking card.
Yeah.
Very green.
Very
right?
green.
Very green. So this one, and again, forgive me, this is a relatively new deck and I really haven't gotten used to what they mean yet. I tend to not use books when I do cards, but
yeah.
I wanted to use them and I wanted to get to know them a bit better. So she is vibrant red, pulsating with feminine power of enlightened activity, infusing our hearts with her capacity for sacred sorcery to conjure and create according to love's guiding wisdom. To receive the divine inheritance of blessings and support. Divine inheritance. The Wheel of Fortune could very well be inheritance, and Scorpio governs inheritance.
Yes.
Okay, so what have we inherited from our family lines? And how can we shift that?
Yes, ma'am.
What we have lack and abuse. How do we have abundance and love? Right? So, to receive the divine inheritance of blessing and support for sacred fulfillment, certain karmic conditions that resonate at a lower frequency need to be cleared away.
Ooh.
The lesson is to release, to receive. You just said release, surrender.
Yep.
Kurukula symbolizes a time of rapid movement on your life path and freedom to attract what you need and want. However, you must be willing to let go of negativity and that which does not belong in your world. So, which way do you want to turn the wheel? Backwards or forwards?
Yes.
Do you want to keep creating the same shit? Or you want to create new stuff?
Yes.
Very simple. It's very simple stuff.
Very simple.
Mm-hmm.
Yo. Okay. Okay, earth signs. My earth moon is like, okay.
Believe me, it's for me too.
We reading ourselves out here in these streets.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
For air, y'all. You got trapped, and there's a crow in the bird cage, right?
Fitting.
Yeah. I feel like this time frame, air moons, risings, suns, there's a part of you that feels trapped. Like literally, this bird in this cage can't do what it normally does, doesn't have its freedom. We know how important freedom and being where it needs to be or wants to be at any given moment is to air. Air's everywhere. This is torture for this bird. That's not where it belongs. But the funny part is the next card that you got was the new moon in Gemini card, which stands for communication is key. So it's funny. Air, of course, would love to have just things flowing, but it's funny to me that you get the new moon in Gemini card because this means there's something that you're not expressing. You feel trapped because you're not expressing yourself in the way that you need to be. What are you not saying? Who are you not saying it to?
Is it yourself?
Yes, it could be you.
Because we are the common denominator
Yes, ma'am.
All our wheelings and dealings. This is what I'm talking about, the blame. You are the common denominator in all your wheelings and dealings. Everybody else is a narcissist around you, then who are you?
Yes.
Why do you resonate with that then?
I had to learn that the hard way. I can't go
Bitch,
around
me
calling
too.
everybody a narcissist. I know a few, but that doesn't mean that when something is against me or sheds light on my issues, that that person has to be branded something terrible.
I just have to say that the core of narcissistic traits, not necessarily the narcissist,
Right.
but the narcissistic trait, is when you place yourself in a category above someone else. That could be in any way. If your pain is more significant to somebody else's, or the way that you process information is better or worse than the way somebody else does it, or if the way somebody speaks to you is not the way you're accustomed to being spoken to, so that somehow villainizes them.
Focus on what is teaching you about you. It ain't everybody else all the time.
It's not everybody else all the time. I honestly, I am a person who wholeheartedly believes that. And just recently, the other day, I had to admit to myself, this terrible situation that I created was a co-creation between me and somebody else. I cannot take all the responsibility for that because I'm putting too much on me. You have to know where to stop. You always have to keep yourself in the forefront. But we also have to give other people their just due too. You know,
yes.
they need to get their just desserts. They need to be held accountable as well, but you don't have to approach them to hold them accountable. You just released what doesn't belong to you anymore. That way, energetically, you put down the burden and they're going to have to pick it up. They're going to have to pick it up.
Listen. That boundary is very important to know. So much can get ruined by not understanding where it lies.
Oh, absolutely.
You sabotage yourself mostly, but in order to get free, there's something that needs to be communicated. In order to not feel trapped, something's been cut off, especially if we're talking in any sort of familial situation. It's almost like this has been a time where we have learned that, you know, it's very quickly someone could just not be here because of COVID, and then you not to get to see them or interact with them the way you might have before 2020 made it so that, like, you know, certain things couldn't happen.
Yes.
I feel like there's a lot that's coming up as far as communication. Air signs y'all about that anyway, but yeah. Holy hell. I said, what you got for air? Because I'm like,
interesting.
come through, air signs.
We have the Page of Pentacles. So pages are young, immature energies, uninitiated. Air is not very well initiated. Mercury is taking you into an initiation of sorts.
A different one.
A different one.
A feeling one instead of the air thinking.
And so is Venus right now.
Yeah, definitely.
Venus is taking Libra into an initiation. Right? So, Page of Pentacles. There is something tangible for you to gain from you not being so flighty and distracted and not wanting to be caged in like the crow.
Yeah.
The crow actually goes and retrieves knowledge and information.
Yes, it does.
Shiny things. There are gifts that could come back to you if you stop being so fucking focused on what other people are trying to take away from you. Get over it.
Or what you perceive too.
Or what you perceive. Honestly, that's
trying to take from
foremost.
you. Yeah.
That's foremost. Stop thinking that somebody wants to fucking take something away from you. Nobody gives a shit. Nobody fucking cares. I don't, you know? So there's something for you to gain. You will then become the knight instead of the page.
Graduate.
Graduation. Yes. There's a graduation that I'm seeing here, and it has earthly, tangible results. It could be in the realms of health. Pentacles are physical. They're earth. It's physical. It could be money, of course. It could be a value system, because what we value tends to be internal and external, but the body is earth.
Yeah.
The body is of the earth. Your body is connected to the earth.
Yeah.
Right? The way that you think affects your body physically. It's time for a change. It's time to buckle down. It's time to buckle down and get what's rightfully yours.
I agree.
Stop flying away from it. Just sit fucking still for a minute.
Maybe if they sit still, they won't feel trapped. It's the wanting to get out and not dealing with the situation at hand.
It's the necessity to always be out and about that is somehow confining. It's contradictory.
Yes, it is very contradictory.
Right? So then we got the Kali Yantra. So yantras are amplifiers. And interesting. It's card number 12. I spoke about there being a DNA upgrade. I can't help but connect the two. Especially, okay, she is your inner power. She is your inner power to evoke a positive shift in your circumstances. If anything is required for success be lacking, the Divine Mother shall provide it, bridging the divide between you and the manifestations of your intentions. You are crossing a critical threshold. She is the true guardian and guide. Stay focused on what matters to your heart, and you shall remain faithfully connected to her protective presence within. Allow distractions to fall away. And continue to commit your soul to your soul journey. A more beautiful experience of your life path awaits you.
Hey.
Think of it this way. Think of people who have to travel all the time. Do you think that they don't miss just like sleeping in the same bed for one night? There is something to be said about there being somehow a built-in trap to always feeling like you have to go and do something.
Yes, I agree.
I
agree.
And that does affect one's body and
very
nervous
much so.
And I feel like that's what the Page of Pentacles is saying. The Page of Pentacles to me is also speaking about inner child stuff. A lot of people feel the need to go and do and be because as a child, they were told they were lazy. They needed to do things. They need to get out. You need to go do something. Get the fuck out of your face. Go play outside. Go do, parents were always telling their kids what to do. You always have to have something to do. You could never just sit there and relax.
Right.
Kid, you couldn't work, so that's how you earned your keep, by getting the fuck out of your parents' face. That's a trauma. You should have never been given that choice to either be useful or to relax. As a kid, you should have picked what the fuck you wanted to do. Just me. That's just me. All right.
I can take it. Yeah. I can take it.
Done with the air signs now. So what are we on? Water now? Water.
So the Grove card came up for water signs. And when I look at the Grove, first of all, the Grove is a place where you can relax, invite, entertain, have people feel safe. Water signs. How are you going to bring people into this Grove? How do you bring yourself here? What needs to happen so you get comfortable enough so that you can be in a place of this? This is a creative place too, because it's 21, which reduces to 3. There's something that's not merging appropriately between your conscious mind and your subconscious mind. There's some energetic sex that hasn't taken place yet that needs to get you to the comfort of this place. What can you do? Now, here's the thing. People, we've talked about this before, and I love Adriana's response every time, which is like, everything is sex. Projective energy is masculine energy. Receptive energy is feminine energy. When you combine masculine with feminine, what do we get? We get a baby, a creation. So your subconscious mind is receptive. Your conscious mind is projective. How you get creation, how you get manifestation is by combining these two things. So whatever you're stuck in and not getting and having a hard time dealing with is because you haven't married the two. How do you get to this place without being subconsciously and consciously there? We can't have any real results in some of the things that are happening. And then y'all happen to get the new moon in Taurus, even though we're having a full moon in Taurus, but it says prosperity lies ahead. When you can pull, even if it's yourself that needs to come to this place, in this grove, this place of acceptance and fullness where, beauty is not only found, but there's camaraderie found, there's love found, there's comfort found, there's an ability to relax and support. Yes. Can you do that for yourself? But also, how do you pull other people into this space? There's a blockage. Either consciously you're blocked or subconsciously you're blocked. And you need to come into alignment.
There are a lot of people who I'm seeing who have not large, but they have their own spaces and they invite people into them. And it doesn't really feel like a lot of them are in integrity. It feels like people surround themselves with those who never really do much better than them. Yet there's this facade being projected that, like, I give everybody equal opportunities. I give everybody, I'm not feeling it. I'm not feeling it. So what is your motivation by bringing so many people around you? What are you really doing? And this is where the shadow work needs to come into play.
Right.
Because it's either you're nourishing people to be their better selves by giving them a platform, or you're siphoning them. Which one are you doing? Do you know? Probably not.
You have to be aware of it. If it lies in the unconscious, the way we bring things into our conscious awareness, well, usually things are in our conscious awareness that we're present to. It's the things that aren't that we have a hard time with. But with that new moon in Taurus card, like, you gotta sit in what's not there, is what I'm getting from that. The bull don't want to move. The bull does not want to move.
It has to either have an idea in which, like, ooh, I can do this, I better start moving. Or there has to be some sort of external force or something tangible that they see in front of their face where it's like, I'm going to chase after that. Yeah.
Something has to be worth it to you. What card did you pull for the waters?
They actually got the World, which goes very well with the cards you pulled. The World.
Yeah.
The World also is flanked by all of the fixed signs. So earth signs and water signs pretty much have this portal of possibility open for them.
And then we've got where the sun and the moon are, as far as this weekend is concerned.
Are in earth and water. So there is this emphasis on earth and water. So being able to be malleable, but also able to sort of flow, being able to take form and still being receptive. There is...
Because you can do so much with earth and water.
Yes, you can. And she's just, it kind of looks like she's just like doing a dance in her little wreath there. She's holding like little little wands in both of her hands, or little batons or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And it kind of looks like she's dancing. Her dress is like really flowy and like, you know,
let's go.
Yes. And
I love
all
it.
the colors that are depicted here are shades of purple and pink. Pink is another color for your heart chakra. Purple is a color for your crown chakra. So you have to open your heart to receive, because there's information that is already making its way to you. But if your watery filter is muddy, then you're not going to be able to receive the information in its purest essence. You're going to put that egotistical filter over what you're gathering because you want it to be something that other than what it is. Stop. If something is what it is, let it be. Stop trying to turn it into something that it isn't. You know? Then we got this card. So it's called Bhadra Kali. I could be just massacring these words.
I fucking love that picture.
It's very powerful. Doesn't it remind you of Aaliyah in Queen of the Damned?
She looks like Akasha. Well, yes.
Akasha.
Yes, Akasha.
Yeah.
She does.
Yeah. So, our wild divine mother knows when to become gentle with our hearts. See, there has been a theme of hearts in every one of these cards.
Yes.
There's major heart healing because the earth is healing too. The earth is going through a period of contraction and expansion. Our hearts are being upgraded. I mean, you know, my asthma has been terrible. That's heart chakra purging, you know. But it's been terrible in a different way than what I'm used to. So it's something different, right? Bestowing sweetness that liberates us from fear. Though you may have faced much struggle and challenge on your path, though it may seem only the most powerful intensity could stem the tide of negativity, the dark mother of grace will conquer the obstacle to your freedom with gentleness. She manifests herself as Bhadra, the gentle. I could be saying that wrong. Don't crucify me. She will calm the waves of emotion, eradicate doubt and despair, and provide safe and graceful passage through all difficulties. These are external difficulties and these are internal difficulties.
Right.
We are not always the good person and we are not always the bad person.
Amen.
Sometimes our best intentions are laced with self-interest because subconsciously you need to make everything about you.
Right.
These are little hints of inbred narcissism. When you make yourself more important than somebody else, or you demonize other people, or even people who demonize themselves.
Yes.
Slightly narcissistic because they're robbing you of the ability to say, I don't like that. So they try to beat you to the punch. And then you're like, oh, well, you already know, so I don't need to say nothing. No, that's a manipulation. That is a manipulation. When people announce their flaws with anger, they do that because they want to take the spotlight off of them. They go, well, if I say it, you don't have to look into me anymore then. I said what the fuck I said. Stop that. Everybody got to stop that.
Yes,
not
ma'am.
One person. Everybody got to stop that. Stop that.
So
Yes.
Don't make me get you.
So, honestly, they're really, really fucking beautiful messages here for everybody.
Yes.
I resonated with each one because we're all of them, right?
True. Yes.
We're all
Different
of them.
Parts of yourself, you feel them.
Yeah.
There's something coming up with that too. I keep reminding you guys, I'm still adding all the people's contributions to it. Y'all is all 12 signs. When I just say like earth, air, water, fire, whatever. Those are different parts of yourself. Some people are more dominant, some people in some of those elements. You still have them all in you. You know, the sun right now in Scorpio is going to be hitting everybody's chart somewhere, whether you have any planets in Scorpio or not. It's very important for you to understand that these cycles of energy are not just like these disconnected things. If you weren't connected to it yourself in your own being some way, then it would have no effect upon you. But you do. We all do. So
there's really
tap
nothing
into
to
it.
fear. There's nothing to fear.
No, you have Scorpio, and people will fight. I don't have any Scorpio, and you have an eighth house, and you have Scorpio somewhere in your chart. The whole wheel is your chart, not just my moon is in Taurus, my sun is in Aquarius. No, like I'm gonna break people out of this fucking habit. It's driving me fucking nuts. I can't take it with people anymore. Listen, you have the energy of all 12 signs in your charts. I can prove it to you. So stop trying to fight me on it. But seriously, if it's really a beautiful thing that you do, that means everything going on astrologically at any given moment is impacting you in a unique way. The energy is just configured differently for you versus someone else. So,
you know, I could sit here and I could cry over how Mars is just rolling right over like a big red angry tank over my moon and my Mercury.
Yeah.
And my Eris, I think, too.
Hmm.
Okay? So I've had this little bit of me that wants to shit stir. That is mischievous, right? That's mischievous. Fire is a bit cheeky, right?
Yeah.
Fire's a bit cheeky. It's tantalizing, but it'll burn your ass, you know?
And then how you've used it, or like even just in using it today, it's like I put it towards good. Your choices come into play.
Your choices and your subconscious motivations come into play. So when I feel like people, I'm always acknowledging myself, right? I acknowledge myself. When I feel like other people are committed to demonizing me because I acknowledge myself and that scares the shit out of them, and then they start taking little digs at me.
Mm-hmm.
See, now I'm going to keep going.
Well, that's the activation of those energies within you.
Yes, you set a forest fire. Because now I'm just going to keep pressing that button and pressing that button until you either address me like you should have done in the beginning, passive aggressive bullshit, or you remove me.
Elevator go up, elevator go down. You can play with it. This my elevator. It's not your elevator.
It's my elevator.
we go you any play. So like you can see and break down how, you know, different things going on in your chart activate certain parts of you, and then how do you use those activated energies? How do you choose to use them in any given moment? There will be again, working on a self-paced course for people to help you better understand these parts, because I'm telling you, the information is invaluable. You'll really get to understand and appreciate the different cycles of time we get.
Yes.
And how they help you grow as a person and the opportunities that you're presented just through the energies that are present. So embrace this shit, y'all.
Yep. And Janae is really great at creating digestible material. You know,
I've been trying.
I know it's difficult to you know, create things. It's not, the creational energy may come easy to you, but the actual like detail of it
I gotcha.
A lot sometimes, you know.
Yeah, because I'm like really like,
mm-hmm.
But she's right. You're right.
And then on top of that, on top of her working on all that, she's going to be writing for us too. So these will be pieces that are exclusive just to the Cosmic CEO magazine.
Yes.
So she'll be working on that. Me and her actually working on a few things together, which we have to start soon. she's going to be writing about
practically using astrology, which ties into what I just said. There's no point in me telling you about what all this shit means if you can't understand how you can use it practically. Like, seriously, that is my goal in life, is to get people to understand how it ties into everything. Because without that, I'm just saying words at you. Like,
absolutely. And then she'll also be writing horoscopes,
yes,
which is huge because most horoscopes are really cheesy. But
that's not the route we're taking.
That's not what we're doing here. That's not what we're doing here. Then me and her are going to be working on sort of like a musical compilation.
Yeah.
Of music that responds and corresponds to the energies of the current times.
Yes.
And then I'll also be doing tarot scopes for the 12 signs too. So I sort of have a lot to do, but we both do. We're both contributing so much. So I'm super excited for there to be things that are just exclusive to this place because those who really want it will come for it.
Yes, and I need to put a link in this to all the stuff with could you describe the Cosmic CEO? I forgot to even completely give it a proper introduction.
It's okay. So the Cosmic CEO is a magazine that's being launched. So there will be physical copies that you order, but there will also be digital copies. And then a community is being created around it, where we'll have like new moon ceremonies and, you know, the founder, so my friend Layla, she's an NLP practitioner. She has a degree in psychology, and she really wanted this magazine to be a game changer. I mean, I sent you the birth chart of Cosmic CEO. It's deep. Mm-hmm. Like, it's really going to stick in the subconscious.
Right.
That's what we do. We get down. We get down, you know. This isn't just a floofy magazine. It's really meant to stimulate the way that you think, the way that you approach life.
Yes.
So we'll be having people contribute articles on human design, astrology. I am looking, somebody I think is currently working on a numerology article. I'll be talking about my womb healing. I'll also be doing the tarot scopes, and I'll also be creating like a music playlist with you too. So then we're going to be introducing other people who are going to be interviewing people who have metaphysical businesses, those who are following their soul's purpose.
Yes.
We'll be doing interviews with them. I also wanted it to be, our idea was that we wanted it to be like a spiritual Vogue, right?
Yeah.
That's what we wanted it to be like. So in order to have to do that, we also have to incorporate fashion and art and music and all of this other stuff into it too. So we'll be highlighting like artists and creators and other people, you know, and feature like an item of theirs, like a kind of like a what's in my cart thing, right?
Yeah.
So exclusive things that maybe you have never seen before. I'm very good at finding those things. I find very unique items and I hoard them for myself because I'm like, I found it. See, that's my little like shadow. I don't like to share things a lot, right? Because I'm like, well, it's not unique if everybody fucking has it, you know? Like you don't want to watch the same TV shows that everybody watches all the time, you know? You want to watch something different. You want to be stimulated differently from people. I want to be stimulated differently from people. That's just me. I'm not saying it's nice, but that's just me. But here I get to share those things. So I am kind of breaking out of that by sharing these things with you. It could be a homemade, like a handmade tarot deck. It could be, you know, crystal jewelry. It could be clothes. It could be anything. It could be weird boutique items that you've never seen before, you know? We want to feature things like that. Maybe some more like ethically sourced and created skincare stuff. Like I'm a big fan of that. I'm a big fan of, you know, being careful with what I put on my skin. So there's so many things that could be found there.
Yeah.
It's not just going to be astrology and fluff piece writing. My boyfriend's actually writing articles on like the spiritual motifs in a lot of video games. So if you're a gamer, this could be something for you. We wanted this to be very multifaceted.
Right.
So we wanted there to be something for everybody. And I don't want this to just be a magazine. I want it to be a movement. I want it to be something that stimulates the masses, you know. I want it to be something that you can keep on your coffee table and people read through it and they're like, holy shit, I never thought about that before. This is awesome. You know, that's what we want to do. We want to stimulate growth. And we want to house unique pieces and perspectives that you're not just going to find anywhere. We really only deal with people who are coming from a pure place. Not anybody can be here. This is very exclusive because we want to be careful what we're pumping out into humanity. If you're not pure, your intentions are not pure, then you're not for us. You have to be coming from a pure place. So if you're coming from a pure place, then that's why you're writing for us. That's why you're contributing.
That's an energy that everybody can be in right now with the purity. The Scorpio energy is great for that.
Yes, it is.
Y'all, I'm telling you, you can use it in whatever part of your life most needs it. And I bet you can see it in your chart.
Absolutely.
And I bet you can determine where your own intentions aren't pure. And I bet you can determine how you're picking up on whoever else's isn't, but whose is too. Let's not all just like act like it's only.
We can only pick up on negativity. You
Yeah,
can
you
pick
can
up
pick
on
up on the.
positivity too.
Damn sure can. And this is a good time for discernment. Again, remember extremes. Started off talking this or that. Which category is it in? Sometimes you got to be extreme to get things done because you have to. How also do you gonna like decide whether to keep something or throw it away? I don't know what to do with it.
I did that. Sometimes you have to be acting in it. Sometimes the extreme isn't necessarily choosing one or the other. It's completely retracting from both and going,
maybe you don't even like this decision, like these two options. That can fit in so many different ways.
And it's unique.
Y'all, take it in, use it properly.
Yes.
That'll be the best thing you can do for yourself under this energy.
Absolutely.
Please take it in, people. Utilize it.
Honestly,
utilize it.
Higher self will thank you.
More than you know. More than you know.
And so will future generations. If your motivation for doing this isn't strong enough when you just think about doing it for yourself,
right?
Think about the world that you're going to leave behind. Do you care enough to do something about that? If not, then that's something you need to explore. Why you don't give a shit.
Your legacy. What are you leaving behind?
Mm-hmm.
Through your actions, through your intentions.
Through your embodiment.
What are you creating?
What are you creating? It's a good question.
What have you created? Because some of us are having to deal. Whatever you've created, it exists.
We have
now
to
what?
answer for our creations too, not just what's going to be created, but was already created.
What's here? So much to ask yourself, but I have faith in the audience, and we'll have you back. I'm gonna put the link in for all the Cosmic CEO stuff, and for you to contact Adriana if you want to talk to her directly. Also known as the Renaissance Mystic. I know I keep like calling you both.
Well, both are applicable.
That is true. That is true. But I don't want to do so in like and be like, oh yeah, like I should have just said both to begin with. Yeah, instead of just like interchangeably. But happy full moon in advance, you guys.
Yes, you too.
Take it in what she said. A lot of these themes coming up are all going back to that family line, all going back to that heart chakra, all going back to those things. There's a reason. And we'll post pictures too. of the stills of the spread. So
Yes.
you guys have a great one. And thank you again for listening to another episode of Spiritual Gangsta Certified. We will see you on the flip
Thanks for having
side.
me.
No problem. It's always a pleasure. We will have more time such as this one. Thank you so much for joining.
You're welcome.
No problem, love. Bye, y'all.